This is Bao TV.
Welcome back to Bao TV, Bao News Network. We are actually tracking the tropics, and the tropics have actually gotten quite excited in the past few hours. We're seeing some significant activity, not only in the Pacific but also in the Atlantic. Let's take a closer look at what's actually happening with Tropical Storm Ida, recently upgraded from tropical depression, and now it's threatening the Cayman Islands and southwest Cuba with tropical force as well as hurricane force winds. We anticipate that as this system makes its way into the Gulf of Mexico, it's going to be transitioning into very warm waters with sea surface temperatures anywhere between 85 and 87 degrees Fahrenheit, which is going to be a significant amount of energy that it will be able to pool into in order to develop even more intense cyclonic formation. Before we actually get started, we're going to be covering a lot of weather events in this forecast. Before we get started, if you're new to Bao News Network, please by all means go ahead and like, share, and subscribe. And also, we are live streaming not only to YouTube but also to Facebook at this time. So make sure that you go ahead and join our Facebook fan page. And thank you so much. So as we take a closer look, we can actually see on our GOSE 16 GOSE 16 infrared satellite imagery is also our precipitation model for what's now tropical storm Ida. It's actually making its way quite forcibly through the Caribbean, and we can see the outer squalls even as it starts to impact the Cayman Islands. The outer squalls of this system are extending all the way back to the northwest coast of Jamaica, impacting regions such as Westmoreland and Montego Bay and Negril with a significant amount of rainfall. We anticipate with this system being that the squalls and the outer bands that are so wide, it is going to be impacting Jamaica as well as Cuba and the Cayman Islands for the next 24 hours at least. Jamaica should anticipate showers throughout the day into midday tomorrow, even in the afternoon, as this system races off into the Gulf of Mexico. You can see quite a bit of extension all the way almost back to the region of Haiti, and so that's why we anticipate that it's going to be a lot of heavy rainfall, not only for Jamaica, but the winds are going to pick up. Tropical force winds are going to pick up for the Cayman Islands as well as southeastern Cuba, which has been battered by systems all of this hurricane season. And as we move forward, we anticipate that this system is really going to be pounding the Cayman Islands with significant rain and thunderstorm activity, possibly even hail, or even a water spout or two might pop up along the way as this system makes its way into the Gulf of Mexico. When we track our weather models here, we can actually see this system what would be in the later evening of in the early morning of Friday, and we actually see it centered in the Cayman Islands area, and we do see those outer bands impacting the southwestern section of coast of Cuba, and it's actually going to skirt right between. We anticipate actually it shifted quite a bit, so it's going to be impacting once again the Yucatan Peninsula, which is recovering from previous storm activity. But we anticipate that it will actually go over the southwestern coast tip of Cuba and venture into the Gulf of Mexico. And we're going to continue to track it at that particular juncture. Here we are at midnight, early mornings on Saturday, and the system is actually exiting the Cayman Islands region and actually now venturing off into the Gulf of Mexico, where we anticipate that it will be upgraded to a hurricane. So if we look a little bit closer to what we see here, we can actually see the progression of this storm once it ventures off Cuba at around 2 a.m. in the early morning. on Saturday, it is going to be prime energy for it to actually intensify into a very, very powerful and more organized system and hurricane by midday Saturday. A lot of people may be caught off guard by this system, considering that there's so many events in the news as far as the escalation of pandemic levels, as well as um, political violent strikes in the region of Afghanistan, and so many other issues that are facing many people. And of course, with media saturation, this one, I believe, unfortunately, might sneak up on a lot of people, especially being that we're venturing into the weekend, and most people are trying to just prepare to actually not anticipating this hurricane to actually be impacting the southeastern states very, very shortly, in only a matter of hours. I mean, people were looking at midday Saturday, which is just around the corner, of actually dealing with hurricane force winds. It's only going to be a matter of time before the different respective states such as Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama will start pulling up hurricane watch and hurricane warnings along the coast, anticipating this system making landfall. So this is definitely this is very much the time. If you are receiving this information, this is very much the time to prepare water rations and food rations if you happen to live anywhere near Port Charles, as well as New Orleans, possibly even Mobile, Alabama, or the Florida Panhandle, for a significant and very wide span hurricane system moving on land. Because by midday, by early morning on Sunday, we're going to be dealing with a very, very powerful hurricane that is going to be impacting very, very flood prone regions of New Orleans, possibly the coast of Mississippi, Gulf Coast of Mississippi, as well as Alabama, and even possibly Houston, Houston, Texas. So we have to keep our mind open as it ventures off around in the early mornings of Saturday, as it exits the landmass of Cuba. We'll have a better idea as far as what the spaghetti models are lining up with various models. European model or the Icon model are lining up as far as where this system is going to land as far as the coastline of southeastern United States. With that said, one of the things that we wanted to note here would be the threat to current Jamaica as well as the Cayman Islands. With the topic of flooding on our mind, we are concerned about significant flooding at this particular time, as the system is continuing to pound the region of Jamaica. We were looking at some of the rainfall accumulation amounts per an hour, and we're seeing anywhere from 0.2 0.1 to 0.2 inches per an hour in some regions, as the outer squalls are continuing to impact the island of Jamaica. And as the system races, right now we're looking at winds for tropical storm Ida, as far as 40 miles per hour, moving northwest at about 13 miles per an hour. The pressure seems to be around 1006 millibars, and with each advisory from NOAA, National Hurricane Center, we're going to be monitoring that pressure, because that will be a telltale sign as far as the structural development, as far as, and also the pressure, the drop in pressure or fluctuation in pressure would give us an idea as far as the development of the system into a more powerful cyclonic beast as it makes its way into the Gulf of Mexico. With that said, we're also looking at tropical storm Nora. So this weather report will not be complete without us taking a closer look at everything that's actually happening in the tropics. And we do have tropical storm Nora, and this system is actually packing winds of about 45 miles per an hour. It's going to be skirting along the west coast of Mexico, and they're actually tropical storm warnings, as well as a hurricane watch along the west coast of Mexico at this time, and we do anticipate that that's going to be impacting the region at about midday on Saturday, possibly as a hurricane or low level or a real powerful tropical storm, and with it impacting Baja California and sometime around midday on Monday. So the tropics have actually picked up quite a bit, and we do see this system going to be impacting the west coast of Mexico very, very shortly, as this system makes its way through. So we want to make sure that we made a note of this for our subscribers internationally who may be impacted by this storm, as it also makes its way towards and impacts the residents of Mexico. As we take a closer look, also, we should also realize that with this system moving in for Tropical Storm Ida, we will know a lot more once it ventures off into the Gulf of Mexico. But at this particular time, we are advising residents of Louisiana, as well as even Arkansas, as well as the west of residents along that infamous Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi border should be preparing for significant weather event in a matter of a few days, as this system is going to be really reeling in all of the energy from the Gulf of Mexico and impacting that coast very, very shortly. So with that said, we want to take a closer look at what's actually happening across the nation right now with severe weather enhanced alerts. We do have what's called a outflow boundary layer in the region of Minnesota and Iowa, and that's impacting with severe and enhanced thunderstorm activity. So we do see that for Sioux Falls, South Dakota, as well as Sioux City, Iowa, as well as Waterloo, Iowa, and Cedar Falls, Iowa, as well as Mankato, Minnesota, they are actually under an enhanced watch for the Storm Prediction Center for that region, with possibility of scattered thunderstorms with locally damaging winds, as well as moderate size hail is possible for this region. As we take a look further into the region of eastern Montana, we also see that there's a potential for scattered thunderstorms in that region, also extending all the way down to Nebraska and across the Central Plains into Iowa and possibly even Illinois. We do see a slight risk for the regions of Omaha, Nebraska, Minneapolis, Minnesota, as well as St. Paul, Minnesota, Des Moines, Iowa, as well as Cedar Rapids, Iowa. And these are the zones that we anticipate possibly severe weather, especially with diurnal heating from during the day, and depending on the cloud cover, may extend to having more significant thunderstorm activity throughout the night, and also depending on the level of potential energy for possibly even a touchdown of a tornado or a tornado advisory in the region, most possibly in the region of along the border of Minnesota as well as Iowa, based on the enhanced alerts at this particular time. So we did want to cover the continental United States. Let us just go back quickly to Tropical Storm Ida as it makes its way across the Caribbean Sea. Residents of Cayman Islands should be preparing for very, very strong winds in the later part of tonight, 10 p.m. to midnight. The outer squalls, the northeastern section of this storm will be impacting around midnight to 1 a.m. And then the outer squalls will continue to bring torrential rain into the area, even as it sets its eyes on the southwest coast of Cuba, which will be in the early morning hours of Friday into midday. And then once it transitions over the southwest coast of Cuba, then it will be in the Gulf of Mexico in the early morning hours of Saturday, with its sights set on Louisiana. So we do want to make sure that we got this information out to all of our subscribers as we continue to monitor Tropical Storm Ida as well as Tropical Storm Nora. we anticipate that this system is going to bring significant amount of possible mudslides, as well as flash flooding in the region of Jamaica and the Cayman Islands, and also southwestern Cuba. So residents should be prepared there. And then also keep in mind, because of the outer band squalls of this system, as we can see here, it should be anticipated that this will be continuing to impact the islands of Jamaica and the Cayman Islands, even as it's closer to Cuba, simply because of the wide expanse of these outer bands. And we just see these outer bands of torrential rain, focusing more on the region of Cayman Islands, as it pulls away from Jamaica into the northern western section of the Caribbean Sea. So we're going to be continuing to monitor this system with each advisory. As we normally do, we take a look at the wind speed and also the pressure, and we anticipate that they will be flying in hurricane reconnaissance aircraft into the system to get an idea of the structure and of this system once it possibly makes its way into the Gulf of Mexico. But we'll continue to monitor the system and all the information coming in from the National Hurricane Center as far as what is actually happening with this system, actually, as it makes its way towards the continental United States. With that said, all of the models are sort of lining up where we anticipate that this system may be going to be impacting the region, most possibly as far as Louisiana and Georgia and Alabama, and possibly even eastern Texas. And this is a recent projection that's still valid, only a slight fluctuation, but based on what we have seen so far, we do anticipate that this will be impacting the region sometime on Monday. Monday and Tuesday, winds will start to pick up, and we'll continue to update you with the latest precipitation model, 24-hour precipitation model, as the system makes its way towards the continental United States. So with that said, we wanted to wrap up this weather report. Please make sure that you subscribe to Bound News Network and look for our next update regarding Tropical Storm Ida and Tropical Storm Nora. And as always remember to bow to the weather. We appreciate all of our subscribers, and thank you for watching Bound News Network, our latest Bow Headline Weather News Report. Have a great day.
This is Bow